Good evening from Atlanta, Georgia, home of the College Football Playoff National Championship game. I'm Simone alongside Gerhard Mathangani as we count down to kickoff. Of course, the biggest stage in college football. Notre Dame and Ohio State will go head-to-head tomorrow here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the biggest prize.
We all knew that college football would look a little bit different this year because of the 12-team playoff. So it allows some flexibility for these teams to be able to have some stumbles during the regular season and still make their way to the championship. These are two teams that did just that. We saw Ohio State lose to Oregon at the beginning of the year, and of course Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois.
Yep.
I think in years past that might have took them out of the national championship picture, not this year.
Yeah, we have certainly seen some competitive games as the playoff has gone on. Now, about a month ago, Notre Dame hosted the first ever on-campus playoff game, and if you can believe it, it was colder there, of course, in South Bend against Indiana than it is here right now. Thank goodness this game tomorrow will be played inside of a dome, but it is Fairhope-native Riley Leonard that has led the Fighting Irish to this point. Now, Notre Dame onto the doorstep of a first national title in more than 30 years.
This team is a hard-fighting, hard-working team, so it's going to take everything, and we can't leave any stone unturned. We gotta put our everything into this fight because we know it's going to be a bout, man. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a war, and it's not going to be given to us. We're going to have to go earn it out there.
They're very talented. They know exactly who they are and what they do. They do a good job getting to the quarterback, setting picks, and landing home. In the secondary, when you think of a stereotypical DB and what a good safety looks like, they got it. When you play in the national championship, you're going to play against great defenses, very fast, very skilled, and like I said, that they're very coachable and they know what they do.
You heard there, of course, from Riley and Ohio State quarterback Will Howard. And while so much attention is always on the quarterback in this game, Gerhard, in this specific game, it is both defenses that have led the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Ohio State Buckeyes to this point.
This is one of those old adages in football that defense wins championships, but this is the case in this season. With all these high-flying offenses, it's really come down to defense with these two teams. This is the number 1 and number 2 defenses in America after the regular season and through these playoffs. Ohio State allowing just 12 points per game, and Notre Dame about 14 points per game. So really tough jobs for both these quarterbacks to be able to move the ball consistently against these really tough defenses.
And it will be quite a challenge for Riley Leonard. He knows that, and he also knows that he's been the underdog his entire life. Yeah. We had the chance to speak to several Fairhope community members, and we'll have that come up a little bit later in the show, but we are definitely going to spotlight Fairhope's finest, as Leonard has really just taken college football by storm in his 5th year in playing in the college game, and it's been so impressive to see him his years at Duke, and then of course now at Notre Dame. Like you mentioned, they overcame that loss to NIU, and then in the playoffs, the last 3 games, he has really done just exactly what Notre Dame has needed. His stats have also been up to par as well.
Yeah, 90-yard game one time and a 230-yard game. Then he can run it for 80 yards or run it for 30 yards, and he can score by touchdowns, throwing the football, or he can score by running the football as well. A complete versatile player and does exactly what his team needs in all those moments, and of course they'll be looking for that once again here tomorrow night.
Toughness is really the name of the game. It's not always the prettiest thing in the world. When Riley Leonard's out there, we've seen him do acrobatic flips for a first down or muscle his way into the end zone. He's not afraid of contact. His stats really speak to that, Gerhard, not only in the playoffs but also throughout the entire season there at Notre Dame.
Yeah, 35 touchdowns as you see, also more than 3,000 overall yards, to more than 2,600 yards through the air, also getting it done with his legs with more than 800 yards. You see that Riley Leonard is a complete quarterback. He's a playmaker for his football team, and as you mentioned, he's very willing to put his body on the line to be able to get that 1 yard or whatever his team needs in that moment.
And long before he was a playmaker for the Fighting Irish or the Blue Devils, he was a playmaker for the Fairhope Pirates, not only on the football field but also the basketball court. And we had the chance to speak with several community members who have been impacted by Riley and his journey. None of his success comes to the shock of Fairhope head coach Tim Carter, longtime Pirates head coach. We had a chance to speak about Riley as he prepares for the national title game.
It's just so satisfying. I mean, I texted him that after the Sugar Bowl game with the victory over Georgia, and just how satisfying it is for me to see him get what I always felt like was due him, the success, and just because he always did the right thing and how hard he worked, and maybe flying under the radar as far as we thought. And so now to see him be the talk of college football, I think is just truly remarkable, and it happened for a reason.
Take me back, 7, 8 years ago when he was a junior, senior in high school for you, or maybe even before then. What was it maybe about Riley that stood out to you? Was there something that made him special that you just thought, man, like he might not be the best athlete on the field, but he just, all of his like highlights and video, he just works so hard.
Well, it's just his great enthusiasm for life. He just has fun everywhere he goes. He's so goofy. He's just got a really goofy, but he's very smart and very focused. But that's just kind of his outlook on life. Every day's a blessing, and I mean, he just approaches it like a kid. I mean, he really does. And I'll never forget when he was in the 7th grade, went down to Newton one day, and Coach Keith Tremue pulled me aside, and he said, "This kid's going to be special, Coach." First time I'd ever seen him. He was a little old 7th grader, and he looked like Ichabod Crane. He was just all arms and legs, but yet very athletic. And so, I was so excited to get him when he came here as a 9th grader, and we actually put him on the varsity. We pulled him up. He was going to be kind of learning the offense, and before long, he was our number 2 quarterback in that season. And but just a zest for life that is just so good to see. And of course, I think he's been contagious wherever he's been, and I know he was here. He was a difference maker. His first pass as a 9th grader was a touchdown. Our quarterback got dinged up. We're down on the goal line, and Coach Duffy called a quick screen, and he threw a little slip screen for a touchdown. It's the first time he ever threw the football. And, his first start was in the 10th grade versus Daphne. Devin Mitchell had gotten hurt the week before. We're having to play our biggest rival. They were really good. And what does he do? I think he threw for like 20-something completions, player of the week in the Mobile-Baldwin County area. And so, there's just so many times that he just rose to the occasion. And then, of course, in the basketball, he was kind of a legend around here. Big shots, big games. So, we just saw it on a regular basis, and we just kind of assumed it. In my career, I've had an opportunity to have 3 guys play in the NFL. I've had guys that were very successful with high school careers. He's just a little bit different. I don't know really that I can describe all the intangibles that are involved in that. But, he made me want to be a better man. And when you can say that about a kid your coach, when you're supposed to be the mature guy in the room, he just was such a special kid. And I know that at Duke and Notre Dame, he has been that little ingredient that was missing. And I think Mike Elko recognized that at Duke, and then I know Coach at Notre Dame has just taken to that. Yeah. And, they are a good combination. All the kids were talking about Riley in school this week. And these are kids that really were kind of 8th, 9th grade. Yeah. They didn't really play with him. They weren't here. They just watched him as elementary school kids and how that he has been the talk of the school. And so, there is just a great enthusiasm that's going on through our community because he's always come home and he takes the opportunity to go to speak at the churches for the youth groups, and he goes to the middle school, and, he's just very open and sharing. And so, I mean, I'm telling you, this guy he is Fairhope. Yeah.
Great hearing there from Coach Carter, Gerhard.
Yeah.
You can tell they are so proud, but they also just know that, hey, this is who Riley is. He's a tough guy who works so hard, but even better than that, he's a wonderful person.
Yeah, he certainly is. And I think that really illustrates what you're seeing with him with this Duke football team. Because not only in high school was he the guy that was really helped to galvanize his football team, but he's also helped galvanize the student body as well, and just be an overall leader. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people look up to him, and that's the reason why he goes to campus for 1 year in South Bend. Yeah. And is already one of the team captains.
Yeah, and just forever in Notre Dame football glory, and for a school that's had so much tradition. I mean, you can't not put Riley Leonard and his playmaking ability over the last several months in there as well. Now, of course, the wonderful person that Riley is has to go back to his parents, and we had a chance to speak with Heather and Chad Leonard back a month ago. I met them for the first time in South Bend, where it was very chilly there as well. They were in wonderful spirits. I remember Chad told me, Gerhard, I hope that there's 4 more of these, 4 more games. And at that time, you never really know what's going to happen. Is Notre Dame going to be a team that's in the national championship game? I mean, certainly I think you would say that they were the underdog against Georgia. You didn't know what was going to happen against Penn State. Yeah. Now here they are, and you know that his parents are so proud.
Yeah, they've instilled a lot of great values in him, but they also let him just be an overall guy. They let him be Riley Leonard. They let him be a football player. They talk football when they want to talk football, but at the same time, too, they really understand and really love this journey as their son plays his final college football game.
Here's a part of our conversation with the Leonards heading into the national title game.
Watching him out there doing what he loves, he's trained his whole life for this. He's practiced that sport his whole life. So just seeing him out there, he's been ready for this, and he wants this, and he's worked hard for it. He is our little boy, and he's the little boy that we saw grow up, and he's the same little boy in our eyes, at least my eyes, that he's always been. So to see him stand on that stage with holding the trophy and the confetti coming down, and he's looking up at the confetti, that's what you watch on TV, and to see your own son doing it, it's unbelievable.
Kind of sad, really. This is his last college football game, and that's kind of sad to think about, but it's a good one to end on.
Really wonderful to hear from Chad and Heather Leonard there, and you can tell they are so proud of not only Riley the quarterback, but really Riley the young man and son that he is.
Yeah, he's a special person, and he's one of those guys where at the very beginning, no matter where you are or who you are, you understand that he is a leader, and he does that on the football field. He did it on the basketball court as well. But what I really liked about what Chad and Heather had to say about Riley is that they just love who he is as a person, and just being able to talk to him about his daily routine and what he's going through as a student and as a player, and it's really fun to see that paired with football as well.
Yeah, you can't be surprised at how good an athlete he is. Of course, he's the middle of 3 brothers, and so they were certainly busy growing up for sure, and a lot of athletes coming out of that family. Now, we were just getting started here on the special edition of the College Football Playoff National Championship game as we preview the big matchup between Notre Dame and Ohio State. Fairhope's finest, Riley Leonard, will be front and center tomorrow, and still to come on this show. We spoke with several community members who have been impacted by Riley's story over the years. We'll have that after the break.